Picture a family vacation, where the father and the eldest son are forbidden from sitting in the same cabin, or even boarding the same aircraft. For most of us, travel is about togetherness. But for Catherine, the Princess of Wales, it is a constant reminder of the heavy price her children pay for their royal blood. The moment Prince George turned 12, a chilling rule from the past became his new reality: the succession protocol. To protect the future of the British throne, the king and his direct heir are discouraged from flying together. This ensures that a single tragic accident cannot wipe out 2 generations of leadership in one stroke. It is a sacrifice that feels deeply unnatural to any parent. Instead of a joyful family cabin filled with laughter, Catherine often finds her family split across 2 different planes. Imagine the silent anxiety of a mother watching her husband take off on one runway, while her eldest son disappears into the clouds on another. If you find these insights into the hidden burdens of royalty fascinating, please take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. It helps us bring more of these stories to you. The bureaucracy does not stop at the airport. In Catherine's world, there is no such thing as a spontaneous trip to the park or a last-minute weekend getaway. Every movement is treated like a high-stakes military operation. Before a single suitcase is packed, a mountain of clearance must be obtained. Security teams must scout every location, routes must be vetted, and every minute detail is documented. A former palace staffer once recalled the atmosphere, noting how the prince would sometimes have to say, "We cannot just go. We need the green light from the team first." What should be a simple afternoon outing turns into a logistical nightmare of radios, armored vehicles, and pre-approved perimeters. Catherine works tirelessly to give George, Charlotte, and Louis a sense of normalcy, but she is fighting against a centuries-old steel wall. The children grow up, knowing that the outside world is something to be managed, not simply experienced. We want to hear from you in the comments. Do you think these safety rules are a necessary protection, or are they too cruel for young children? But security does not just watch the skies or the roads, it follows the children into their most private spaces. It even dictates who is allowed to step through the front door for a simple afternoon of games. You might think a neighbor's child could just pop over to play, but the reality is far more complicated and involves background checks that would surprise even the most cautious parent. How does a mother explain to her child that their new friend needs government clearance before they can share a toy? That story is exactly what we will uncover next. Imagine a neighbor's child running up to your door, eyes bright with excitement, asking if your children can come out to play. In any ordinary household, the answer is a simple yes, or maybe after homework. But for Catherine, even this tiny spark of childhood spontaneity is tangled in a dense web of security protocol. While she desperately wants her children to have a normal upbringing, the reality is that no playdate is ever truly casual. It has been widely reported that when classmates from the prestigious Lambrook School are invited to visit the royal residence, it is not as simple as dropping them off at the gate. Every single visitor, including young children and their parents, must undergo a rigorous background check. Security teams must vet every individual who enters the private sanctuary of the Wales family. For Catherine, the simple act of saying yes to a friend is a logistical hurdle. She has to manage the delicate balance of being a welcoming mother while acknowledging that every new face is a potential security risk. One can only imagine the conversation behind closed doors, with Catherine perhaps explaining to a fellow parent, "We would love to have them over, but there are certain clearances the team needs to finalize first." This constant surveillance means that the traditional childhood sleepover is almost entirely absent from their lives. For most children, staying over at a friend's house is a rite of passage, a night of whispered secrets and independence. For George, Charlotte, and Louis, that level of unsupervised freedom is a luxury they simply cannot afford. They grow up in a world that is filtered long before they ever touch it. Every room they enter, and every person they interact with, has been pre-approved. The sacrifice here is subtle but profound. By protecting them from the world's dangers, the system also shields them from the world's natural messiness. They are raised in a beautiful, protected bubble, but it is a bubble nonetheless. Catherine's challenge is to ensure that this filtered life doesn't stifle their ability to form genuine human connections. However, as these children grow older, the struggle to stay connected moves from the playground to the palm of their hands. In an era where school life revolves around group chats and constant digital contact, Catherine has had to draw an even firmer line. Why is it that at 12 years old, the future King of England is still living behind a total digital firewall, denied the one thing every other child his age possesses? That digital struggle is where the rules become even stricter. In an age where almost every 12-year-old feels like their social life is tethered to a glowing screen, the Princess of Wales is holding a very firm, very lonely line, while other parents worry about social media distractions. For Catherine, a smartphone is not just a distraction, it is a weapon. It is a beacon for hackers, trackers, and those who would exploit her children's privacy for a headline. In the royal household, a mobile phone is not a milestone of growing up. It is a massive security liability. Despite being the most famous children on the planet, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis live in a state of surprising digital silence. Prince William has been remarkably candid about this domestic battle, once sharing his concerns by saying, "We have to be quite careful with how much time they spend on screens. It's about finding that balance." For the Wales children, that balance is weighted heavily toward the real world. Reports suggest that George may only receive a basic phone, one without internet access, even as he begins his secondary school journey. This isn't just old-school parenting, it is a calculated defense. A single unencrypted message, or a casual photo, with hidden location data, could reveal their exact routines to the entire world in an instant. This discipline extends to how the public perceives them. You may have noticed that we rarely see a truly candid or accidental photo of the children anymore. This is what experts call Catherine's controlled windows. Instead of allowing the paparazzi to hunt for a glimpse of her children, Catherine has taken the power into her own hands. By stepping behind the lens herself and releasing her own photographs on birthdays or milestones, she satisfies the world's curiosity while keeping the door firmly shut for the rest of the year. There are no casual selfies, no unfiltered moments, and certainly no public social media accounts. As one palace observer remarked, by being the photographer, she ensures that the children are seen on her terms, not the media's. It is a masterful strategy of protection, yet it highlights a painful truth. Her children can never truly belong to themselves in the digital space. But this wall of privacy has its limits. In the royal world, even the most intimate family milestones, decisions that most parents make in the quiet of their own hearts, are dictated by the state. When it comes to the spiritual guidance of her children, Catherine is forced to trade personal intimacy for public duty. Why is a decision as sacred as choosing a godparent turned into a public roster for the world to scrutinize? That is the hidden burden we will uncover next. For most of us, choosing a godparent is a deeply personal, spiritual decision, one made around a kitchen table with family and close friends. It is a bond of trust, private and sacred. But for the Princess of Wales, even the souls she chooses to guide her children are subject to the cold light of public scrutiny. When Prince George was christened, the palace did not simply send out private invitations. They released a public roster of the godparents. What should have been a quiet matter of faith became a headline-making announcement, analyzed for its diplomatic signals and social optics. Catherine cannot simply choose based on her heart alone. Every name on that list must be vetted for security, reputation, and the message it sends to the Commonwealth. The intimacy of a spiritual bond is traded for the transparency of a public institution. Imagine the weight of knowing that your child's most personal mentors are being judged by millions of strangers before the ceremony even begins. As one royal commentator noted, "In this world, even your prayers have a press release." This lack of personal ownership extends to the very toys and trinkets the children receive. Think of those heartwarming moments on a royal walkabout, where a child in the crowd hands Princess Charlotte a teddy bear or a small bouquet. For a common parent, that gift is a keepsake, a memory of a kind stranger to be tucked away on a bedroom shelf. For Catherine, it is a matter of strict official gift policy. Because she is a representative of the crown, most of these tokens cannot be kept as personal possessions. Every gift must be recorded, inventoried, and often donated to charities or put into storage. Catherine frequently has to say thank you with a sincere smile, knowing that the gift her child just touched may never actually make it into their playroom. The sacrifice here is the loss of a memory shelf, the simple, cluttered joy of childhood mementos that tell the story of a life. In the palace, those stories are replaced by logs and ledgers. But what happens when the pressure of the crown meets the allure of the camera? If a common celebrity faces a scandal or a financial hurdle, they might sell their story to the highest bidder or sign a $1 million contract to set the record straight. For Catherine, that exit door is bolted shut. Why is it that she is forbidden from ever turning her family's fame into a financial safety net, even when the world is clamoring to hear her side? That is a rule of iron we will explore next. In a world where fame is often treated as a currency, and many public figures use their children's images to build empires or secure brand deals, the Princess of Wales stands behind an unyielding ethical wall. For Catherine, the images of George, Charlotte, and Louis are not content to be monetized. They are symbols of a national legacy that must remain untainted by the world of commerce. While a Hollywood star might sign a multi-million-dollar deal for a first look at their newborn or feature their children in a luxury fashion campaign, for Catherine, that path is strictly forbidden. The British Crown operates on a principle of absolute non-commercialization. This means there are no brand partnerships, no ambassador roles for the royal children, and no sponsored posts. Even though anything Princess Charlotte wears sells out in mere minutes, a phenomenon known as the Charlotte effect, Catherine receives no benefit from it. In fact, she must be incredibly careful. If a photograph accidentally highlights a specific logo, or suggests a royal endorsement of a toy or a clothing line, the palace must move quickly to correct the narrative. Her children are seen as servants of the state, not products for the market. This protection extends to the world of high-stakes media. Under the UK's strict media guidelines, it is generally prohibited to pay children under 16 or their parents for material that involves the child's private life or welfare. This creates a unique situation for Catherine. When the tabloids are swirling with rumors, or when the family is facing intense public pressure, she cannot cash out by giving a paid, sympathetic interview to set the record straight. She must endure the media storms in silence, choosing the moral high ground over the financial safety net that most celebrities take for granted. To the outside world, this can sometimes make Catherine appear controlling or overly secretive. She is often accused of tightly managing her children's public appearances to the point of being cold or inaccessible. But in reality, she is fighting a daily battle to ensure her children aren't turned into commodities. She is protecting their names from becoming mere labels on a shelf. Yet, as we look at these layers of security, digital barriers, and commercial restrictions, we find ourselves at the heart of the matter. Beyond the rules and the laws lies the raw, human struggle of a woman trying to be a mother in a house of mirrors. In our final look, we will reveal the heartbreaking paradox that Catherine faces every day. The more she tries to give her children a normal life, the more the system demands they be anything but normal. We see the smiles at the school gates, the carefully coordinated outfits, and the occasional video of the family baking in their kitchen. To some, it looks like a curated performance. But if you look closer, through the eyes of a mother or a grandmother, you see something much more profound, a desperate, beautiful attempt to snatch normalcy from the jaws of history. Catherine knows better than anyone that her children are not just her own, they are the property of the state. And yet, she fights every single day to ensure that for as long as possible, they are simply George, Charlotte, and Louis. This is the ultimate paradox of her life. She insists on the school run, she cooks their favorite meals, and she encourages them to get their hands dirty in the garden. These aren't just hobbies, they are acts of defiance against a system that would rather see them as porcelain statues than living, breathing children. A former palace aide once whispered, "The princess doesn't just want them to know their duty, she wants them to know what it feels like to be a child first." However, this quest for a normal childhood comes at a steep personal cost. To the outside world, Catherine is often criticized for being too controlling of the media, or for being a perfectionist who only shows the world a sanitized version of her family. She hears the whispers that she is manipulative or Stepford-like in her presentation. But she accepts this criticism in silence. Why? Because she knows that every ounce of criticism she absorbs is a shield that protects her children from the intrusive glare of the public eye. She chooses to be the villain of the narrative so that her children can have the peace of a quiet afternoon. She is building an invisible wall around their innocence, knowing all too well that the clock is ticking. One day, the weight of the crown will fall upon George's shoulders. One day, the duties of the state will claim their schedules and their lives. Catherine is effectively buying them time, precious years, where their biggest worry is a school project or a lost football, rather than a constitutional crisis. At the end of the day, behind the high stone walls and the ancient protocols, Catherine is doing what every grandmother and mother watching this understands. She is putting her family first. Her love is the one rule that even the most ancient palace protocol cannot break. If you found this look into the hidden world of the Princess of Wales moving, please give this video a like. We want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Catherine's sacrifices are worth the peace she buys for her children? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss our next deep dive into the lives behind the headlines. Thank you for watching.